Welcome to the Copperfield Electric Podcast.
It's great to be here.
Today we have a very specific mission. We are going to tackle a psychological trap that I think so many of us fall into.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I call the set it and forget it trap. You know the one, right?
Yeah.
You buy a piece of tech, you install it, you feel super responsible.
You feel prepared.
Totally prepared. You pat yourself on the back, and then you never look at it again. Not until the exact moment you need it to save the day.
And, nowhere is that trap more dangerous or, frankly, more expensive than with emergency power systems. It is one thing to buy a generator.
Right.
It is a whole other ball game to make sure that machine actually turns on when the grid goes dark.
That distinction is everything. So
Sure.
Today we're diving deep into a fantastic resource. It's called The Essential Guide to Year-Round Emergency Power Maintenance by Renee Hernandez.
A really good one, just published, February 2026.
Exactly. But we're not just looking at it in a vacuum. We're pairing it with the service philosophy of the team that, makes this deep dive possible, Copperfield Electric.
And that context is really important here, because when you talk about electrical safety, about reliability, you need a grounding force, pun intended.
Something like that.
Copperfield Electric, they're not some faceless company. They're a trusted, family-owned business right here in Southern California.
That's right. Serving our neighbors specifically in Orange County. We're talking Irvine, Anaheim, Santa Ana, Costa Mesa.
Newport Beach, all over.
Yeah, if you're in that area, these are the folks. And their key value, which I think we'll touch on a lot today, is that they are a 24-hour electrician service.
Which is huge, because outages, they don't happen on your schedule.
Never between 9 and 5 on a Tuesday.
Not a chance. It's always 2:0 a.m. on a holiday weekend in a storm.
And that brings us to our mission today. We're going to walk you through the checklist that keeps your backup system from becoming, an expensive lawn ornament.
I love that, the expensive lawn ornament. Let's avoid that. Okay, so let's unpack this. Renee Hernandez's guide starts with something that seems so simple, but it's probably the most neglected part.
The pulse of the machine.
This is the cadence of testing, and the source is absolutely non-negotiable here. You need to run that generator at least once a month.
Once a month. I feel like a lot of people hear that and just think, really? Do I have to? It feels like starting your car just to move it up the driveway and back.
It absolutely does, and the car analogy is perfect. What happens to a car that sits for 6 months?
Well, the battery dies, things dry out.
Seals dry out, fluids settle, the battery's dead. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
With a generator, it isn't just about making noise, it's about verification.
Yeah.
You're confirming that the system is producing the correct voltage.
Correct voltage. That's the key part. It's not just is it on, it's is it stable.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Because all our modern electronics, our smart fridges, our computers, they hate dirty power. You don't want to find out the voltage is fluctuating when you're trying to keep sensitive medical equipment running.
Yeah, that's a nightmare scenario.
So think of it like a muscle. If you don't flex it, it atrophies. But the guide points out this monthly test isn't just for the engine. It's arguably more about the handshake.
The handshake. You mean the transfer switch?
Correct. The transfer switch is the unsung hero of this whole operation. It's the gatekeeper.
This was my aha moment reading the source. The transfer switch is the literal bridge. It's what lets the system seamlessly swap from grid power to backup power.
And the logic is brutal but true.
If it doesn't switch on a calm Tuesday test.
It is definitely not going to switch during the storm when the pressure is on. That's the critical takeaway. The test confirms the handshake. If that handshake fails, you're in the dark. It doesn't matter how much fuel you have.
So without a working transfer switch, you've just got a really loud engine in your backyard doing absolutely nothing for your house.
Exactly. Making noise, burning fuel, and your refrigerator is slowly getting warmer.
Okay, so we're running it monthly, checking the pulse. But a generator isn't a magic box. It's a machine with a circulatory system. Fluids and filters.
Right. If we keep with that engine analogy, it's basically a car engine without wheels. It's got pistons, it gets hot, it needs lubrication. And the source breaks down the maintenance math here pretty clearly.
And the numbers might be a little shocking.
They might be. You need to be looking at oil and filter changes every 100 to 150 hours of use.
100 to 150 hours. I
Yeah.
want to pause on that because at first that sounds like a long time. But in a prolonged outage, say after an earthquake, that time racks up fast.
Incredibly fast. Just do the math. 24 hours in a day. 100 hours is just over 4 days of continuous running.
Wow. Put that way, if you're out of power for a week, you technically need an oil change in the middle of the emergency.
Exactly. And most people don't think like that. They think, oh, I changed it 2 years ago, we're good. But if that machine runs for 4 days straight, that oil is getting
And
destroyed.
it's not just oil filters, right?
No, the source is clear. We're talking air and fuel filters too.
Which makes sense. They're usually outside, sucking in dust, pollen.
Smoke, you name it. If the air filter clogs, the engine suffocates. If the fuel filter clogs, it starves.
And the oil is the lifeblood. It loses viscosity, right? It just breaks down.
It does. And when it degrades, friction takes over. And friction is the enemy. It'll cause the engine to run rough, overheat, and eventually,
Seize up, right when you need it most.
the worst possible time. This maintenance is just preventive medicine for your power system.
Okay, moving on. We talked about the heart, the engine. But what about the spark? The source identifies this hidden failure point that catches so many people.
The battery. It's almost ironic, isn't it?
It really is.
You've got this massive, complex machine that can power a whole house, but it's completely dependent on a little 12-volt battery just to wake up.
It's the Achilles heel. It needs that jolt to crank the engine. So what's the advice here? Because batteries are so easy to just ignore.
You have to inspect it
Yeah.
every 3 to 6 months, or as the guide says, every few months, and you're looking for physical signs of trouble.
Not just testing it, but actually looking at it.
Yeah, look at it. Do you see wear leaks? Do you see that white, crusty corrosion on the terminals?
That corrosion is a killer. It's like an insulator.
It stops the power cold. And check the connections. Are they tight? Vibration can loosen them over time.
And if you just assume it's fine.
If that battery is dead, the biggest, most expensive generator in the world is useless. It's a brick. You can't just pull start a whole home generator.
That's a terrifying thought. A dead battery standing between you and safety. Now, we touched on the handshake, but let's deep dive into the brain of the system, the transfer switch itself.
Right. We mentioned it for the monthly test, but it needs its own specific inspection. It ensures you get proper power, but it also has another critical job: isolation.
This is the backfeeding issue. I don't think a lot of people get this.
It's vital. The switch isolates your home from the utility grid. If it didn't do that, your generator would send high-voltage electricity back out onto the power lines.
Where the utility workers are.
Exactly. They're out there in a storm thinking the lines are dead, and suddenly your generator sends a surge down the line. It's incredibly life-threateningly dangerous for them.
So the switch protects you, and it protects the lineman. What are the warning signs that the brain is failing?
Delays. The power goes out, the generator starts, and then nothing. The lights don't come back on because the switch failed to engage, or just total failure.
How often should this be checked?
It needs a really thorough check annually, or definitely during your routine testing. If you hear any weird buzzing, any hesitation in that switch,
Wow.
it needs a professional immediately. This is not a DIY fix.
Okay, let's talk about stress. The source uses this great term, testing under load. What does that actually mean?
This is what separates the amateurs from the pros. Most people, they just turn the generator on, it idles, it hums, they go, great, it works, and turn it off.
And that's not enough.
Not even close. It's like going to the gym and just holding the barbell with no weights on it. You're not actually testing your strength.
So underload means you simulate reality.
Yes, you have
Yeah.
to run the generator while it's powering your heavy-duty appliances. Turn on the air conditioning, the electric range, the dryer.
You're trying to make it sweat.
You're trying to verify it can handle the actual demand of your house without failing. It's easy to run idle. It's hard to run a household.
How often do we need to do that stress test?
Once or twice a year is good.
Yeah.
It's the only way to know if your system is really ready. Because sometimes an engine runs fine at idle, but the second that AC kicks on, it just stalls.
Better find that out on a sunny day than a scorching hot one with no power.
And what about the physical environment? Keeping the generator clean.
It sounds like basic housekeeping, but it's pure engineering. You have to keep it free of debris. Leaves, dirt, twigs, all of it.
Because it blocks the airflow.
Yes, generators need air to cool down. If leaves are piled up against the vents, it obstructs that airflow and the unit overheats.
And modern generators are smart enough
To shut themselves down. They have safety sensors. So a pile of leaves can literally turn your power off in an emergency just because you didn't rake. That is such a small thing that can cause such a massive failure. Okay, so we've got a lot of DIY checks here, but there's a point where you need to call in the cavalry, right? The source is very explicit about professional inspections.
Absolutely. We can do a lot, but we aren't electricians. The guide advises a professional inspection at least once a year to catch hidden issues, loose wiring, frequency problems, and making sure you're up to code.
And this is really where the value of a partner like Copperfield Electric comes in. I was looking at their About Us info, and the credentials stand out.
They do. They're licensed. The number is 1094740. They're bonded and insured. And maybe just as important, all their electricians are background checked.
That level of trust matters. You want to know who's coming into your home. I also love their honesty policy. You know, we've all had that service call where they try to upsell you on a problem that doesn't exist.
It's the worst feeling. Copperfield's philosophy is competitive pricing. But more importantly, they say they will only diagnose a problem if it truly exists.
That's huge.
It is. Honest troubleshooting can save you so much money because you're fixing the actual root cause.
And while they're there for that annual checkup, their scope is pretty broad. It's not just generators. EV charger installations, panel upgrades, even new construction like ADUs.
That's the benefit of a full-service partner. If your generator test shows your main panel is struggling, they can handle that too. They have a 100% satisfaction guarantee, which, speaks volumes.
Let's pivot to safety. The source mentions following local codes and regulations.
This is critical. Codes exist for a reason: safety. They dictate where a generator can be placed to prevent carbon monoxide poisoning, how it's grounded.
And carbon monoxide is no joke. It's silent and deadly.
You really need a pro to make sure that exhaust isn't getting back into your house. And even with all the best efforts, all the monthly tests, emergencies happen.
That's just the reality. Equipment fails.
And that's why Copperfield's availability is such a key piece of this. They offer 247 emergency services.
And that covers a wide area. Their office is in Tustin, 1581 Copperfield Drive, but they serve Laguna Beach, Mission Viejo, all the surrounding areas. If you're in Orange County, they've got you.
And they actually pick up the phone.
That is the most important part. The number is 626-622-9694. I'll say it again because you want this in your contacts before you need it. 626-622-9694.
Yeah, you do not want to be Googling for an electrician at 3:00 a.m. when you smell something burning.
Definitely not. Okay, let's bring this all together. If we had to summarize the big three of maintenance from the guide, what are they?
I'd boil it down to this. 1, fluids. Keep your oil fresh, filters clean. Remember that 100-hour rule.
Yeah.
2, the battery. Make sure it has the juice to start. Check for corrosion. And 3, the professional inspection. Get expert eyes on it once a year.
Simple, actionable,
Yeah.
and so easy to forget. What stands out to you from all this?
For me, it's the shift in mindset. You have to stop thinking of a generator as a product you buy, like a toaster. It's a system you maintain, like your car. Reliable power isn't a product, it's a process. The peace of mind comes from knowing you did the maintenance, not just from owning the machine.
So here's our challenge to you listening. Go check your system. When did you last run it? When did you last look at that battery? If you're unsure, call a pro. And if you're in Southern California, reach out to Copperfield Electric for that honest diagnosis.
Don't wait for the lights to go out.
Exactly. All right, leave us with one final thought to chew on.
We often prepare for the storm by buying the generator, but we forget to prepare the generator for the storm. When the grid goes down, will your investment be ready to take the load?
That is a great question to end on. Thanks for listening to the Copperfield Electric Podcast. We will see you on the next Deep Dive.